We are hearing that members of the defeated and losing opposition have reported to certain strategies of buying voters' registration cards for the only purpose of destroying them. They realize they cannot stop you because you are the voters that are coming through a wave. So they can't stop you from voting for your president. So they have created crafty means to prevent your support for the president.
Every time you say walk on court, they say the ugly animal go bring water and baboons start making flour. By the time you say walk on court, Prince doesn't feel that you're talking to him. He said, if you talk again, I'll get to you. So you want to bring walk on court, bring your damn walk on court. Don't be speaking your stinking more every day, understand? Jesus turned the table upside down. I will tell you. What
you just said is a blatant lie. L-I-E, lie. Well, I didn't know you wanted to have an interview just to come out with outrageous statements. That is not true. That is not true. That is not true. He was unjustifiably, illegally charged.
I'm none of those, have never been, and will never be, whether they think so or not. I am a father of 14 children, grandchildren, with love for humanity, have fought all my life to do what I thought was right in the interest of justice and fair play.
If I want my picture to be here, I must do something here. You will put your picture where your project is. Nobody will not just take the picture on people's horses. Put your picture where your project belongs.
Instead of debating in the Capitol building to increase the civil service salary, the lawmaker decided to take to Mark Tassing and go and fight the university students. Yes. We don't want any Bruce Lee in the Capitol building. Someone told me that money was given to District 8, $30,000. You all heard about it. Yes. There is no financial report. Some of you don't want to talk because you say the general will attack, but go and tell the general the field marshal is coming.
But you are not the one that's like our people. He passed through Wednesday and somewhere else in Conway. And Joko Mekazo, the life of President Memu, Joe Twa, and the rest of the people, we stood by our people from start to today. So when something is going wrong, we got to correct it like how we corrected yesterday. We've been correcting his mistake for yesterday. After he deflected, when we came with the revolution, he deflected, he fought us. We corrected, hey, you reign, you went in Nigeria. Hey, I move on here there. Oh, a base. You ran away in Nigeria. We corrected that.
No, please say money to the bank. And so we were told by Finabono that on the 15th of this month that we're in now, August 15th, beneficiaries are going to start their payment. Then on the 20th, we're going to be paid. But to our utmost surprise, on yesterday, which was the 24th, we got rumor that Fina is giving our water 2,000 Liberian, 2,500 Liberian dollars. Senator, I tell you what, Senator. Yeah. He said, oh, our mother, I appeal to you. You are talking, I will pay your money. Yeah. Why you get paid? Why you get paid? Who are fasting you? Why they are fasting? They are taking money. They're in a different country. Look at the Minister of State, see what he paid. He and Luke will say, home of 4 million. And I only 1 million can pay with it. That's how your mother for grandchildren, they complete 50 counties. You will get a bad feeling. You face on the road. Everybody have on you. Why you get see on the road?
But let them get my message. I'm very patient with them. If for any reason, Representative Dongi and his students are successful and carry somebody else, some of them who get fake credentials, they will move them from there. I say some of them get fake credentials. Well, we are still there. We'll get there. Some of them brought fake credentials from America and other places. That Liberia thing. You were in this country when people were placed in the newspaper that they have fake credentials in early government. No, there are people who are in different places, they drove them, but they will see it. I should not be the one. Somebody will do it. Somebody that they want will do it. We the Sano people who must do something for our people. Not everybody in the country get relatives in Monrovia to come here after high school to go to college. So I will go there to help my people that the evil are dead. That the evil are dead. I left my children here. I left my church. I said I will help Sano people that the evil are dead. So let them go ahead. If God will help them. Amen.
Fight your politics on the issues, not argumentum ad hominem. You leave the issues and you attack personalities. No.
We are not interested in anything our other man is. We're not interested in anything that will ferment chaos in this country, because we are victims of chaos in this country. We are victims of yesterday's victimizers. And that's why we are very much meticulous the way we conduct our activities.
From the nation's capital, Monrovia, precisely at the intersection of Broad and Buchanan Streets in Monrovia, Republic of Liberia, West Africa. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome. This is the Hot Talk. It's on ABC Radio 105.1. My name is Anthony JIFFAN, and of course, THEO Williams will join me very shortly on the program. We are here Monday, Wednesday, Friday. This is the platform that allows you to speak out. You can be critical, but very civil. You can talk the hard way, but you have to be responsible and respectful. This is the Hard Talk Force. And so today on the program, there are lots of issues, lots of things trending in our country. And so there are numerous of things trending in our country that we are going to talk about today. But let's give you the line out of this presentation. On the first segment of this show, we are expected to have an aspirant of district number 13, Moswara County. She is a daughter of the recently suspended or dismissed Minister of Posts and Telecommunication, Madam Cornelia Kratokpa will join us on the first segment of the show, where we've been told that she is concluding, or she was concluding a meeting, and she's joining us very shortly. And so she will sit with us. She will tell us how she wants to lead the people of District 13. And then along the way, we are going to enter into some other political issues. She's from the Unity Party as well. The naming of the running mate to the former Vice President Joseph Boakai sparked a misreaction from other political parties, resulting, let me say, resulting to the dismissal, the dismissal of her father after attending that ceremony. She'll also be telling her feelings in all of those things that are happening around the selection of the running mate to former Vice President Joseph Boakai. But our wise words for today on the program is, it says, you can't control the direction of the wind, but you can adjust your sail. It says, you can't control the direction of the wind, but you can adjust your sails. And that is to some of you who are sailors, those who are captains of ships, maybe should I say those who are crew canoe paddlers, operators, you can take that. You will not tell the wind where to go, but you can adjust your sail so as to go in line with the wind. And so with that, we will take a very short break. And as soon as we come back, we will chat in studio a bit as we await our guests to join us very shortly. But there are numerous of things that are happening in our country. You are aware, I'm aware. And so together, we are going to talk then and in an effort to make this country a better place. Stay tuned, don't you go away.
Another kingdom in England called Maguire, who was playing for Manchester United. Harry Maguire. He's a defender. He was tackling everybody and throwing his bodies everywhere. that he was seen as the best defender in the world. Manchester United went and bought him. He became the biggest threat at the center of Manchester United's defense, tackling Manchester players and giving assists to opponents. Mr. Speaker, when even the opponents failed to score, Maguire will score for them. But there was a player in the United Kingdom, in England, called Maguire, who was playing for Manchester United. Harry Maguire. He's a defender. He was tackling everybody and throwing his bodies everywhere, that he was seen as the best defender in the world. Manchester United went and bought him. He became the biggest threat at the center of Manchester United's defense, tackling Manchester players and giving assists to opponents. Mr. Speaker, when even the opponents failed to score, Maguire will score for them. But there was a player in the United Kingdom, in England, called Maguire, who was playing for Manchester United. Harry Maguire. He's a defender. He was tackling everybody and throwing his bodies everywhere, that he was seen as the best defender in the world. Manchester United went and bought him. He became the biggest threat at the center of Manchester United's defense, tackling Manchester players and giving assists to opponents. Mr. Speaker, when even the opponents failed to score, Maguire will score for them.
Well, welcome back and thanks for being there. Somebody somewhere asking, why is Anthony playing something that will evoke Maguire? Even though, yes, I'm a fan of Manchester United, but that's how it is. Maguire, sometimes when even the opponent team fail to score, Maguire will help them to give them goal. And sometimes to lead Manchester United to even losing a particular game because Maguire is on the field playing. Well, so let me start out with this. If you are aware, today is celebrated generally as World Press Freedom Day. And so to all of our media colleagues, I'd like to say happy World Press Freedom Day. Let me start out with my boss and my bosses anyway. Happy World Press Freedom Day, Madam Dennings, Nathan and Fidel City, and the rest of us here at ABC Radio and all of the journalists across Liberia and beyond. I'd like to say happy World Press Freedom Day. Today, you are aware that we have had some issues following our elections. And so today's celebration was planned by the President of Liberia, members of the President of Liberia. It was celebrated. While we were celebrating, we were also mourning the deaths of numerous of our colleagues. The recent, which is the late G. Nawe Gomet of LBS. And so let's move on. Recently, there have been a series of reports particularly from the Leeward counties. Series of reports of deaths. And sometimes we find it difficult how to call these kind of deaths. But again, you have to call it the way it is. Because if a child or a particular person is not seen for a particular time or for a certain number of days, and that person is discovered dead, automatically, well, you can tell how did that person die. And so it becomes secret. If you have different name and different characterization, you do. But I think automatically it becomes secret because this person is missing for this number of days, even if the person leaves and go anywhere else, but no one can trace them. No one can tell where the person is until you discover their dead body. Automatically, it becomes secret. Yesterday, if you follow, those of you who are followers of our news, there were reports from Grand Bassa County in a particular area called Nikki Town, where the residents are complaining, calling on government intervention. They are alleging that how do I call it? Boyo, or they are alleging that Boyo or Hartmen are in their areas. They're chasing people every time. And so because of that, it has serious implication on their movement. People are not freely moving. Children are afraid. People are even afraid to send their children to go and fetch water. People are even afraid to ask the little child to go to the next house to bring what they want to get. And so when all of these things are happening, there are people who will say, sometimes when some of these things happening, they say the government. Somebody will say election coming. But sometimes there are people too in the environment. There are other ordinary people who are just wicked. Sometimes some people didn't get involved with these things because they want to get power. Some of them don't even do it. There are other people who are not even connected to government who are involved. But again, on the overall, people blame government because sometimes they believe that government should be able to provide security. If government is providing security now, from my house to my neighbor house, policemen will be standing there. But it is important that we highlight these things because those things are concerned. They are important to be talked about because at the end of the day, a child will go missing. That child will die maybe at the end. It could be your child. It could be mine. If there are real people who are involved into what is called Hartman activities or Boyo activities, people used to say that Maryland County, the Boyo business. Now, the people in Grand Bassa County, they are the one crying. The people in Nikki Town, Grand Bassa County, are the one crying. It is not the people in Plebo. It is not the people in other parts of Maryland. But on the overall, we are talking about the safety of our children, the safety of everyone, because some of these things don't only happen to kids. Sometimes older people are also affected. When dead bodies were being discovered everywhere at some point in time, those were not kids. Those were full-grown people. I remember there was a time that a lady body was discovered on the SKD Boulevard. She was never a child. But how and why are these things happening? Why are these things happening? Who are those involved? How do we get them? How do we arrest those situations? It is by us coming together. It is by us having one mind, united front, and then we can able to defeat all of these things. And so I thought to just throw light on that. But one of the key things in our country that is very, very prevalent is that there are things that happen. Everybody will come around and say, for example, this person stole. They take them to the police station for a day, and after a week, that information is quiet. At the end of the day, there is no report. Because when this thing happens, the public get concerned. The ordinary people get concerned. They want to know how will this thing end. They want to know who is involved. But when there is no report to the public, and I'm saying this to draft to the issue, sorry, I'm saying this to draft to the issue about the recent coming in of arms and ammunition that were discovered. You remember at the Freeport, when these things were discovered, everybody say, oh, the people bringing it in the country, and they were discovered. Thank you to the security. Thank you to the government. Thank you. At the end of the day, our people's ears are still open. They are watching. They want to hear who bring these things. How did this end? And so if you even attach one person to that, you will arrest the person. One day you will go and say, maybe for instance, this thing is connected to Mr. XYZ. And Mr. XYZ is saying no. He's arrested. Sometimes put behind bars. At the end, are we able to have a logical conclusion? Do we have a report that these guns that were brought in this country, this is the person that brought it? Even though we arrested this man, but he is not the one. Or we arrested the man. Yes, our investigation has shown, has proven that this man was the one responsible. It has been months. And on these things, there should be regular updates, because those things are very critical. Those are very critical things. And if you leave them out without coming back to the people to tell them this is how it happened, this is the person who brought in those weapons, then you leave doubt in the minds of the people. And then many a times you hear people say, oh, be here inside. Because of lack of information, lack of proper dissemination of information, you allow the people to speculate, you allow them to accuse you. Maybe if you might not even know. But sometimes they accuse you because you refuse to tell them how it happened, who did it. And so if you, who is in a position to tell people who is responsible, if you cannot do it, the next thing you notice, people will start to accuse you. What is the status of that investigation? Where are we? Who are those involved? And sometimes it is good to name and shame. Sometimes it is good to make it public. Who are those involved? Where are we? Those are questions that could be answered. Now, if you take your telephone now and call the other man, he say, we stay investigating. It's a full-scale investigation. What is full-scale investigation that never ends? What is full-scale investigation that the people are never updated one day. Again, where are we? You know, those kind of questions, when people start to ask them every day, oh, the other thing they talk about, they guns they bring here, what the whole gun business, then people say, the people stay investigating. When you push, they will bring another thing in. When another thing comes in, then it kills the questions about where are we with this other investigation. Now, a recent, you start to hear about coach. It starts to kill people every day. All of the other things that we were talking about yesterday, coach has overshadowed everything. They brought 100 million drugs. Yes, people are arrested. They are in court. They've been investigated. So let's take a very short break, folks. As soon as we come back, I'm very sure our guest will be here with us in studio.
Jesus can tell me that I will accept. Only Jesus. No CID, NSA, FBI report will make me to accept it. You know, no kind of a report will make me to agree that Gifty Lama was in a car on Broad Street having sex. Whereas when we went there, I was there when police opened that vehicle. We noticed that there was sand in her shoes. So the Broad Street play got sand now. Broad Street got sand. What part of Broad Street is sand coming from? I refuse to accept that. Anybody wants to get angry with me, let them get angry with me. I refuse it any day, anytime. Gifty Lama never died on Broad Street. She died somewhere else. They were brought on Broad Street. I say so. I, Solomon Claudius George.
Musa Belete stole 180,000 in tax money from the Liberian government, from which he was dragged to court. 2012, he was announced convicted. This is the man also condemned by FIFA as a fraudster. This is the man who is in the midst of the CPP, and the CPP is not throwing what I call a cordon sanitaire around him. Now, if you have a guy who is a potential contaminant, and you have it in your midst, what do you think will happen? He will contaminate everybody. You know, this man is a walking corruption virus. Anything he comes in contact with, anything he touches, he contaminates. The CPP will be contaminated very soon, because my own Liberty Party is now contaminated. People in the Liberty Party who took Peacock responsibility today, they are defending him up and down the country.
The People's Liberation Party, through the National Executive Committee and the GAC, have with immediate effect suspended for time indefinite and to face the grievance and active committee for the investigation for their respective actions. Those suspended and removed are Mr. Jerry K. Colley, former chairman, Don County, suspended. Mr. Mohammed A. Bility, former chairman, Margibi County, suspended. Mr. J. Emmanuel Green, former chairman, Grand Cape County, suspended. Mr. Oscar Holmes, former chairman, Bomi County, suspended. Mrs. Evelyn Yakoli Morris, former chair, Dimba County, suspended. Mr. Abraham Sharif, former chair, Monserrate County, removed.
The matter will be settled. Tapo Igbo now politicians, DJ Blue now politicians. So I am not suspended about the body of our constitution. Anybody that is suspended, go to court. They are forced county chairperson. Conventions held in Royal Magili County. I was the head of the delegate, and the delegate came from the 15 counties. those that were elected from the convention, before the convention, to serve as delegate to elect our official of the party. They are the legitimate chairperson. Everyone don't want this before you don't want somebody from there say who was say he want to be contesting, then you say you are most of our county chair. Then you doing it to rob the president of the Republic of Liberia.
Founders Unification Party calls for the immediate suspension or dismissal and subsequent prosecution of latest boss Professor Francis Ware and his deputies Lawrence George and Wilbur Smith, Waker and rest of the current state. The recent LSC report is yet another testimony to how common criminals and fortune hustlers have taken over the state and are looting the state on an industrial scale.
As of today, Thursday, March 16, 2023, student politics on all UA campuses are hereby suspended until further notice. The suspension comes in the wake of the many violent disturbances on the University of Liberia campuses. Students are mandated to keep in strict conformity to this pronouncement.
All of the CDC coalition members of the UP, ANC, and Liberty partisans and all other political parties are invited to join me taking Liberia to a new era of peace and prosperity. You can count on the change that I have delivered, and I will continue to provide more transformative leadership. I'm here today to tell the Liberian people that I will be on the ballot as a presidential candidate in the next election.
Currently, we do not have good international or relation with the international community. One, the president, who is known as feminist in chief, who is known as one person who advocates for rights of women. He, President George Manneh Weah, unconsciously elevated, instead of President Weah asking him to confront justice, he was elevated to become the doyen of his cabinet. He was appointed as the Minister of Foreign Affairs. That was a slap in the faces of women of Liberia. That was a slap in the face of justice in this country. That was a slap in the face of those who referred as of masses.
I'm talking about getting money to destabilize CPP. They make the funds in the car. We said, yeah, you should not have brought back. And remember, the political party accusing us that we're paying the oath to the government. Daniel represented, and he don't carry the gun. And I mean, I was talking. Go take more car. Go take car. Go take car. I've been talking to what you want to say, but you want me to say, I've been saying it. Mohammed, go and thank you for reminding me that they may carry the gun. We had a live on him. I'm so sorry that way.
And so welcome back, folks, and thanks for being there. As we told you earlier that our guest was caught up in some basic issues. We're very close to the tense political time, and so our political figures, they all will be in this other meeting and that other meeting. Remember, when even you contested in your district, you pass into somebody else, you don't see money in that problem, and so they say, Mama won't see you, she forced to go there. But she's Madam Cornelia Kratokpa. She's the vice chair for inter-party affairs and inter-party and National Election Commission affairs, right?
Inter-party relations and National Election Commission affairs.
Okay, inter-party relations and National Election Commission affairs. And she is an aspirant of District 13, Mosorado County. She contested before. She did not make it. This time around, she said she's going to make it. She's now in our studio. Good afternoon, Madam Topa.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everybody following the show this afternoon.
Well, how you doing?
I'm okay. It's been very, very busy the last couple of weeks, but I'm okay, and we're well on course with the rescue mission.
Oh, the rescue mission. Okay, rescue 1 just selected rescue 2.
Yes.
How is the Unity Party since the selection of your rescue 2?
The Unity Party is okay. We are on preparations now for the elections, as we have been for the last couple of months. We have passed this one major milestone that we all have been waiting for maybe a little over a year now. You know, the process of having discussions with other opposition political parties and collaborators around who Ambassador Boakai could select as his running mate is something that has been ongoing for more than a year now. And last week, we're able to bring that to an end with him announcing his selection for vice tenure bearer, and the National Executive Committee of the Unity Party endorsing that appointment or his selection of his vice tenure bearer. So now we're moving on to other things. We know that the October 10 elections will not just be presidential, but also legislative. And as such, now that we are in collaboration with other opposition political parties, we're at the stage of first having individual political parties consolidate their own legislative candidates listing, and after which time we'll all meet and have a discussion and trade off on who gets what seat, legislative seats, and who trades off the other. So the Unity Party now is wrapping up on their own process for candidate selection. If you have listened to the different announcements on various radio stations across the country, we have been calling on our partisans to apply for legislative seat. That process ended on the 26th, and the various county leaderships now are just compiling their results and doing their vetting, and that will be communicated to the party by this week. So by the end of this week, we'll know who all are considered the Unity Party candidates, and then we'll be taking that now to the negotiation table with other opposition collaborators.
Okay, so you are an executive of the Unity Party. You are one of, in fact, the lead in your collaboration, as you say. So was there any difficult thing to select your running mate?
The selection of the running mate was a process. It wasn't an easy process, you know, in any given instance where you have to choose between people with similar policy, similar background, similar interests. It becomes a somewhat tricky and to an extent difficult decision to make, especially when is dealing with people who you have been collaborating with for years, and people that have their own political capital bringing it to the table. Is a decision that we had to be very, very, very particular about. It included a lot of consultations, as you know, when we're under the CPP arrangement, we're going as close to that process, and then the entire process got disrupted. We had to start over with two of our collaborating partners remaining with us, and then doing that assessment overall across all those across Liberia that will fit the vice running mate position for the Unity Party, including our former our former collaborators from the CPP that moved with us out of the CPP. So it was a tough process. It was a very, very intentional, meticulous, challenging process, but we're glad that we've moved past that. It was a process that was considered very scientifically, politically, and with a lot of consultation cutting across all of the political parties that we were collaborating with.
There are two major things I want you to talk about quickly on that issue of the selection of the running mate. Then we'll move on to another thing. The first one is you had the Liberty Party from the CPP. They were together all through the ALP, and later the MDR came in. I may not know the arrangement between the Unity Party and the MDR, but the MDR, to my knowledge, they've just joined to be a friend or a part of the Unity Party collaboration. How did you, because I'm using you now as a Unity Party, Unity Party selected a running mate, considering the former Vice President, Ambassador Boakai, being the head of Unity Party. How did you arrive at selecting a man who just joined you over those who were with you?
So the process of selecting a running mate from the angle of the Unity Party was not mainly looking at at individuals. The way we did the selection process was to create whom an ideal running mate would be.
Okay.
Looking at various attributes, different things that we would want a running mate to bring to the table,
Okay.
and considering all of those things before we started to put in.
And you want to point out some of those
Some
things.
before we started put one of those things obviously would be political capital. Another component of that obviously would be the person's or the person's connection to the political party, the unity party. Another would be the person's, Liberia's election is, in as much as we don't like to agree or profess it most of the time, it's very tribal. Our elections are tribal, very tribal. So you have to consider all of those things. So there were a couple of SWOT analyses that were done. There were several interviews with stakeholders across Liberia that was conducted. And after all of that, then those decisions or those data were provided to the standard bearer, who then, as you know, is his prerogative to make the final decision, made it from a very informed background on who to select as his vice president. So it wasn't something where the former vice president or the standard bearer of the Unity Party was looking at individuals and saying, okay, this person, my relationship with them and everything else, but it was whom an ideal running mate would be that will contribute to whatever Unity Party already has as a political party, and him as the standard bearer of the party. How do we get additional political capital in order to go into this race in October, and not just go into the process, but win the process, hopefully win a first round victory. But even if you don't win first round, you should be able to come first round and prepare for second round in the upcoming elections.
Many a times you women will want to advocate. In fact, you are advocating for a space on the table of leadership. Now, you are a female contesting in your district. Most of your advocacies are around women participation in politics. One of those who were lined up for that position, that opportunity, was a female. She got denied. How did you feel when a woman like you?
Obviously, being a woman in politics or being a female, I will obviously have a soft spot for female representation. For several reasons. I believe that women in politics lead differently. It helps to bring balance in the decision-making processes, political decision-making processes, where you have females and males being on the same table. That way you look at decisions or you look at problems from a balanced and different perspective. I have always said that I don't consider myself a feminist, but I am an advocate for women's political participation, especially increments in women's political participation. So obviously I had my own bias towards selection of a female as the vice running mate. But as I said, there were a couple of things that were being considered when considering who to select as the vice running mate. Gender obviously was one of those issues that was on the table in consideration of who to be selected, but there were several other factors that would be considered. I would have loved an instance where a female would have passed the gender card or the scorecard for gender, but also pass all the other cards in order to convince the stand-up bearer who is his prerogative to decide whom to select, who have been more than convinced that it's not just on the basis of gender that I'm selecting this person,
right,
but every other framework that we've put in place that or attributes that my vice running mate should have met. So not having a female as vice running mate, obviously, from my perspective, it carries us back a bit, but it's about having women at the table to make decisions. So I would still like to see a composition of our campaign management team, for example, a composition of our legislative candidates, for example, where there are significant amount of women at the decision-making table to cover up the gap that would now having a vice running mate that is not a female.
Let's go back to the people who were also interested in being running mate to the former vice president, the political leader of the Unity Party. Those people who were not selected, considering your position in the party, how are you, the Unity Party, and the rest of the political parties in the collaboration getting to them to bring them back on board?
Since before the announcement, because certain stakeholders within the Unity Party obviously knew the direction of the standard bearer selection before the announcement was made. At that point, we all individually and as the Unity Party started to reach out to the different stakeholders. The standard bearer of the Unity Party reached out to everyone before the pronouncement, everyone that were considered under the selection for his vice running mate. He reached out to them personally to convey to them what his decision was in a very respectful and out of courtesy for all of the times that we have collaborated as opposition political parties. That was done. As at the announcement of the vice running mate, we have all even intensified our outreach to the different political parties or our allies, if I may speak from the point of the Unity Party, with the standard bearer leading that process to still reach out to all of our allies, the ALP, the Liberty Party, Costa, who is a member of the ALP but is a vocal opposition political figure. We have reached out to all of them. We'll continue to reach out to them. Those interventions are ongoing. We're hoping that with negotiations, we'll be able to settle in on how we can preserve the opposition collaboration that we have had for the last couple of years, but also to protect the interests of our opposition collaborators as well, so that by the time that we finalize this opposition collaboration ticket or framework or whatever we'll call it, it will have met the expectation of all of the opposition political parties that are in collaboration with the Unity Party, and we'll all focus our attention now on winning the presidential election and winning as many legislative seats as possible.
So what are some of the things you're hearing from the people you're talking to?
Well, out of respect to them, out of respect to this process, they're not things that I can disclose on public media. If those were things that they wanted the public to know, they themselves would have come to the public. But what I can assure the public is that in a couple of days, we will reach a resolution that will be in the interest of the Liberian people. One thing that everyone in the opposition collaboration has agreed on is that there is a bigger picture that we need to look at. The bigger picture is rescuing Liberia, is making sure that Liberians do not go through the torture of another 6 years of the CDC-led government, where everything from the economy to the existence of Liberians at the very bottom is in shatter. We have agreed on that as the opposition, and because we have agreed on that, every discussion that we're having and the decision that will be made in a couple of days will be in the interest of the Liberian people in considering the bigger picture.
With the conversation you're having, do you think those people will come back to you, will reconsider their decision?
We are hopeful. The decision is for the political parties to make. Themselves is for those individual politicians to make. But we from the end of the Unity Party are hopeful. We are open to as much compromise as possible to ensure that this collaboration still happens and that we get the best result for the Liberian people in October.
Let's go to the recent happening to, sorry, I have to go there, to your father. He attended the ceremony of the Nimi. He's your father, right?
Yes, he is.
Councillor Cooper Crow.
Yes, he is.
Okay. The Nimi ceremony of your running mate. I'm also told he's the national chairman of the MDR. Following that process, he got dismissed by the president. How did that make you feel as a person?
Well, I'm not just the national vice chair for inter-party and NEC affairs of the Unity Party, but I'm also someone who studied politics, governance up to master's level.
Okay.
I also have a background in the law. I'm a graduating student, senior of the Louis Arthur Grant School of Law. Should be graduating in a month or so.
Congratulations in advance.
Thank you. I come from a family of legal luminaries. My father is a counselor at law. I have a brother who is a counselor at law. I have an uncle who is a counselor at law. So I understand the dynamics of political appointments. I understand that if you are the minister proper in a government, you work at the will and pleasure of the president. My father, I want to believe, also understood that dynamics. As a matter of fact, he came to the CDC-led government from the angle of the MDR, as at the time that they supported the CDC government in 2017 in order to ensure that they won that elections. So coming under that arrangement, it wasn't only public knowledge or public information that he was an MDR official in a CDC-led government where the MDR supported them, but it was also something that the government was well aware that he was not a citizen when he became a minister or the Minister of Post and Telecommunication. To the extent where he became the chairperson, national chairman of the MDR, I would think that the CDC, the president and the CDC knew fully well that at that point he is not a person of his own. He represents an institution, and as such the decision of the institution becomes paramount to whatever other thing that would have happened. The United Party-led government in the past was able to create a situation in Liberia where we provided opportunities for individuals who were Liberians and willing to contribute to the development of Liberia, despite their political affiliation. We saw a government of inclusion under the Unity Party where even the president, who was the standard bearer of the major opposition political party, the CDC at the time, served as the peace ambassador to the Unity Party-led government with a budget over a little over of $1 million United States dollars budget that was provided by the Unity Party government in order to make sure that he effectively carried his role. During the CDC-led government, the Unity Party-led government, we saw vocal supporters of the CDC like Samuel Twer, Nathaniel McGill, that was in the opposition at the time, the NPP. Those vocal individuals still played role in the governing of the state of the Unity Party-led government. That was how tolerant we were. The Unity Party-led government was one government where people could freely wear the CDC t-shirts and go to government ministries and affiliate with the party. And Madam Sharif was one person as head of the Unity Party-led government that always spoke to the freedom of everyone to associate and disassociate politically. So we have now come to a point in time in Liberia where to politically associate is an issue. So I didn't see anything wrong with the president firing my father. I was in fact very proud that he was able to take a stance as chairperson of his political party, to stand by his party during that political process.
And being a government appointee is going to his party
The
function.
government knew that he was the chairman of a political party, and they kept him there as minister. As at the point that he became chairman of the MDR, if the president had a problem with chairman of another political party serving his government, he should have fired him from that point. He works at his will and pleasure. He had no reason keeping him on the job if he would have felt offended having the national chairperson of a political party there. I feel that my father did the right thing to stand by his political party in this process. It was a decision that his party made to agree to be vice running mate to the Unity Party. And if he would have stayed away from that process, I think I would have been more ashamed to affiliate or ashamed to sit anywhere to identify with what he did. For me, and I think is something that our entire family ascribe to. We are very proud that at a time where his political party made a decision, despite it being him risking his own personal benefit of being a minister in the CDC-led government, he was willing risk that for a political party that he's national chairman for. I would be proud to say that story, to explain that story to anyone, to my children, to my grandchildren, and let them know that they had a grandfather that at a particular time when the country needed him to make a decision and stand by his political party, he did that. Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe that he present in the cabinet we have some problem or undermine the re-election of president we are considering, he being with the major opposition?
Well, whether it will have a problem is one thing. It was clear that the MDR decided that they would no longer go under the arrangement with the CDC to support the CDC. Obviously, as chairman, if he had not been fired by the president, I want to believe that at some point he would have resigned to go and campaign. He's a lawyer, as I said, therefore he's aware of the code of conduct that says that as a government official, you cannot actively campaign if you follow the program that the United Party had that he attended. He only attended, he did not even make one remarks at that program. And it wasn't because he wasn't afforded the opportunity to make remarks. He was, in fact, asked to make remarks, but he declined making remarks because he knew at that particular point, in as much as he was chairman of his party and had to attend, but making remarks at that point with all resigning would have had implication for him. And I think that was at that point that he made the decision. I can attend as chairman, obviously, because I have to attend, but I do not have to speak at that particular program in that particular capacity in as much as I honor the invitation. I think that was out of respect to his appointment by the president. But again, everyone cannot see things from a particular perspective. I think the president had his right to fire him. I was one person that was vocal about it when people started criticizing his attendance of the program. I told them, I said, I reposted on my social media, I said, the president has the right to fire. You can go ahead and fire him. How the people of NIMA or the MDR will respond to you firing him is another issue by itself. If NIMA County will decide that because you fired one of our sons in his capacity as chairman, that's
one of their sons there.
Well, whatever the case, again, as I said, is left to NIMA County to respond. Okay. So after October 10, we will know in what direction NIMA County responded. If NIMA County,
I don't think NIMA County should be responding. When their son is leaving, their son is coming in.
Exactly. So if NIMA is pleased with one son being removed and another son being scapegoated to make it look good, then they will respond in a positive and they will overwhelmingly vote for the CDC. If NIMA County has issues with you removing one of their sons and putting another son there in order to make it look like you still support them, then obviously they will vote again. So again, as I said it on my social media page, NIMA County will respond, and after October 10th, we will know what NIMA thinks about this entire situation. But as about the decision of my father to honor an invitation in his capacity as chairman of the MDR, I think that was the best thing that he did. I'm very proud of his stance, and I stand ready to defend that stance wherever. And I think too that the president acted in his constitutional right to hire and fire any executive member at will, and he cannot be questioned for doing that.
And I think you think your father did not act like a coward.
I think his attending actually was bravery.
Okay.
Not a lot of ministers who have attended, even the other assistant ministers or deputy ministers that are MDR executive members that should have been there, they did not attend for fear of losing his job. If that job meant so much, I read some social media, several people are like, after this morning, I think one radio station, yesterday, Cooper cried, his whole family, his wife were angry with him, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, if this man believed that job was life and death for him, the same way all other executives of the MDR stayed away, he would have stayed away because he knew, he went there knowing fully that my attendance here, depending on how the president decides to react, might be the last day that I will serve as minister. And he chose to go there and to represent his political party.
Did you at any time, when the MDR made a decision, considering your father was already chairman, to support the Unity Party, the lead opposition in this country, did you at any time talk to your father to maybe leave the job? Because sometimes it is better to resign than to be fired.
I have always thought that my father's decision to support the CDC was wrong. I have always been vocal about it. When I serve as official spokesperson of the Unity Party, almost every radio talk show that I went to asked me what my position was about my father's working for the CDC. And I was always vocal about the fact that I felt that at this time his decision to support the CDC was wrong.
Did you advise
I felt, of course, if I'm speaking against it publicly, means that I am speaking against his decision. But again, my father is a fulcrum person. I am also a fulcrum person. I would not allow my father to influence my personal decision. By me telling my father, you have to leave the job because I do not agree with you serving, will give him also the right to come and tell me that you have to leave the Unity Party because I'm the minister of CDC.
I was talking about when the MDR decided to support the Unity Party. Now, leaving the CDC, he was minister already. He supported the CDC. You were against. Now, he has decided to join you at Unity Party. Did you at any point advise him to leave the CDC job because that job?
So I am giving you a historical background of how long I have told this man not to be in CDC. Okay. For as long as he took the ministerial job, I felt that was wrong. Okay. I felt that he chose the wrong side. I spoke against it over and over. And I felt that he was not doing service to us as his children in his decision making to support the CDC, or government that has brought so much suffering to the Liberian people. I was vocal about that. Every radio station I went on, I was asked about my position, about my father working for the government. I was very vocal about my disappointment in him supporting the CDC. So as at the point where he decided to come and support the Unity Party, obviously I was in support of that. But where I could not, when I did not agree with him serving as minister, where I could not influence his decision to resign. Why do you think I will influence his decision to resign when he came to the Unity Party? His decision has always been his decision. He knew why he was making certain decisions at certain point. And as I would have expected or on numerous occasions said to him that he had to respect my decision to support the Unity Party as an independent person, even though I am his daughter, I also had to respect him. My father and myself, we have a unique relationship where despite daughter-father relationship, we knew that politically we had to respect each other in our decision politically. And that is why we had a cordial relationship. You never see my father at any time or myself clashing. But when we had to discuss policy issue, if he had to speak against Unity Party government, he would speak against them.
Sometimes
and
we
we would disagree. If I had the opportunity to speak against the CDC, I would speak against it. Okay. But those were political differences that we had. And I'm happy now that at least we've been able to align politically, and we can now combine our individual strength to take on the CDC-led government and ensure that Liberia is rescued in October.
Should I say you have been you are succeeded in bringing your father over?
The two of us had a mission.
So it means that you want him.
He had a mission, obviously.
He went to CDC.
He had a mission, or he had a tax. Let me not say a mission. I want to believe the seditians felt, or at least hoped, that as a minister in their government, he would have brought me over to CDC. And my party also thought that as being a national, the highest ranking member of the Unity Party, I would have brought him over. And one way somebody won. I would say that I won. Bringing him over as chairman of the MDR to the opposition bloc, instead of him taking me as vice chair of the Unity Party to the ruling party bloc.
You're listening to the Hard Talk. Our guest is the vice chair for inter-party relation and the NEC Affairs, Unity Party, and aspirant of District 13, Mosorado County, the daughter of the just dismissed Minister of Post and Telecommunication, Madam Cornelia Kratokpa, is our guest this afternoon or this evening now on the show. Let's go to the meaning of this Rescue 1 and Rescue 2. Many persons believe that Rescue 1 to former Vice President Ambassador Joseph Boakai is not the best name for him, and because he said for 12 years did not do anything to rescue Liberia. He should be thinking about different things instead of giving himself a name that he did not deserve.
Unity Party-led government was headed by a president and a vice president.
Yeah.
We all should be aware, or I'm hopeful that we are all aware of the duties and functions of the presidency and the vice presidency. We all should be aware, or I'm hoping that we are aware, that the president is the head of the government and the vice president supports the president to deliver for that government.
Right.
At that point, if we all should be aware of that, we therefore should know that the deliverables or the gains of a government goes or it trickles down to the head, the executive, and every other person that made up that particular executive or the government as a whole.
Thank you.
Anyone who will say that the Unity Party, after taking Liberia from being a war-torn country, Liberia from being considered a failed state, where we were not even proud to be recognized as Liberians outside of the borders of Liberia. And after 12 years, with all of the improvements and the development that we saw in Liberia, from infrastructure to education to health services to having the respectability of the civil service, to people being able to take pay on time regularly, increase it, and you say that the Unity Party-led government did nothing for Liberia, and therefore he should not consider that we achieve anything, then I mean you even being at a service to yourself. Those kind of debates, I don't even like to dive into it too much, because that means you're living somewhere else outside of Liberia and you are not seeing the reality on ground. Okay. When the Unity Party-led government took over Liberia, we had no roads. Absolutely no road. The Broad Street, the Sinker, there were no roads in Sinker. There were no huge roads from one county to another. All of the connections, you see the Bassa, the Nima, the Ganta Road, and all of these different roads, they did not exist. It was under the Unity Party-led government that they exist. We had no systems. Government ministers, government CSA workers went to work not knowing what they were supposed to do. Everybody just go there and sit down. Most of the ministries were places they would go and play checker. You would just go spend the day and you leave. People, civil servants took pay either on 26th for Christmas and for holidays. Madam Sharif and the Unity Party took over the Liberian governance structure and were able to put all of these systems in place. We expected that any other government that will come after the Unity Party government will have taken the country from where we stopped it and be able to advance it. Unfortunately, the CDC has been a complete disappointment. The CDC has taken Liberia from where we took it, where all of the foundations were built and they were just supposed to carry out. They have damaged Liberia completely, where even now, the very minimum, the bare minimum of having civil servants take pay, that was the bare minimum any government could do. Say you don't want to bring any other development to Liberia after a Unity Party, the bare minimum you could do is to ensure that you have money to pay your civil servants. We had the U.S. Embassy recently putting up a release where all the revenue generating streams of the government are generating the necessary revenues. Whatever revenue that it says the target they are generating, it is not trickling down to impact the day-to-day lives of Liberians, because this money are being misused. We currently have the president with a full delegation going to London. We have information that they're going to spend pretty close to $1 million just to go and attend the coronation of the Prince of the UK.
Those are just speculations.
Those are speculations. Those are realities. This is not the first time. You know they're not using water to go to the UK. You know they're buying ticket. You know that they're going on a private jet. You know that they have to pay for accommodation.
No,
to pay for accommodation in.
There should be money.
To pay for accommodation in. I know there should be money paid to pay for accommodation in the UK. It's not going to be anything less than 500 euros, especially not during this time with all head of states and everybody else is visiting. The UK is not paying for guests. Guests are paying for themselves. In the midst of civil servants not getting paid, you have a delegation to go and to do this. In the midst of having hospitals without drugs in the country, you are going to do this. In the midst of even those that conducted the voters registration, the NEC voters registration, the first phase, not even being paid. They're still trying to process payment after all the sacrifices and everything they made. You are going on this very flamboyant trip. This is the new normal. where the president cares for nothing. The president left Liberia for more than 15 days to go and to watch his son play football, while Liberians were here facing the present day realities and sufferings of this country. And if you see all of that and you say that Liberia does not need to be rescued, therefore Joseph Boakai, who his government in the past was able to take Liberia from scratches and develop Liberia. And we are telling you that as a United Party, we have a proven track record of developing the country. We have a proven track record of understanding the issues in Liberia and finding solutions to it. And therefore, we need to come and control and rescue Liberia from where it currently is. And you say the name Rescue One is not in place, then that means you are not living in Liberia.
If they will agree, if those who are criticizing the Rescue One will agree that maybe Liberia needs to be rescued, but who is this person coming to rescue Liberia? Some of them are arguing that it should not be Ambassador Joseph Boakai.
Why not?
Because of all of what you just explained, that you said.
But all of what I just explained is even reason why it should be him. All of what I explained just now was just to prove to you that is the reason why, because we have proven track record. As I said, the United Party led government never even never ran a government as one individual. We ran a uniform, systematic, very orderly government. When United Party led government said they were going for a cabinet retreat, you know you're going there to go see serious things. You're not going to go sit down Jamaica resort to do cabinet retreat. You're doing a cabinet retreat. President that just said you're not going to go sit down Jamaica resort to do cabinet retreat. You're going to have a serious. That's where all the retreats happen.
No, the recent one was here in Grand Bassa County.
That's they always having some resort or something. All cabinet meetings happen at the Jamaica resort. Those are not serious places. When you go in to go discuss serious matters, the government should be presenting on where are the faults. You having a cabinet retreat, serious cabinet retreat. Your finance minister is not even there. But your major challenge as a government is the economy. But you do not have your finance minister there to tell us the state of the economy and how we can address that. This is not a serious government.
So before we go to the lines, I know we'll talk about a little bit about your ambition being representative of District 13. But before we go there, I want you to do your fair appreciation of the CDC government. What have they done better that you've seen?
The CDC-led government has succeeded in making Liberia more divided than it met it. Currently, in Liberia, you go to any government ministry, you can see a clear division.
Is that the best thing they've done you've seen?
You asked me what have they done. I explained what they done. You never asked me for best thing. You never asked me for best thing. You asked me what have they done.
Your appreciation. I said your fair appreciation of the CDC government.
So
if you appreciate somebody for dividing us, then
no, you said what have they done. I'm trying to explain what the CDC has done.
So apparently you didn't hear me say.
Yeah, I didn't understand.
Okay.
Apparently, I didn't understand your question from that point.
Okay, so go ahead. Your fair appreciation of the government.
So it's hard to even rate this government anyhow, because every time the government takes one step forward, it goes 4 steps backwards. So this government, if you ask me to do an appreciation, I would say this government has succeeded in, say, raising the budget, because that's what the government boasts of.
Okay.
They now have been able to increase the budget to a couple of millions of dollars.
Okay, from 500 to 700.
But again, those things are on the paper. Because how are they interpreted going down? How does it trickle down? A government that has a budget surplus, as the CDC-led government has been posting off for the last maybe 2 years. If you have a budget surplus and it does not trickle down to the day-to-day activities of the Liberian people or address the bread and butter or rice and soup issues affecting Liberians, then what budget surplus is that? You claim that you've been able to generate additional fundings for the government. To what end? This government has boasted of a lot of investment that are not true. The only investment that we have seen from this government that has been a successful investment is the park in the old road there, the invisible park. Outside of the invisible park, all other investment that they have posted, all the Bali Island, the overhead bridge, the hair factory, the Nigerian teachers, the money from how they call the people that can wear the white thing. I've forgotten those people. All of those investments, even the money from France, all of those things have never trickled down. Either they come in and they're getting stuck in between the distribution line and it's not reaching the Liberian people, or it's actually not coming. But even if you ask the CDC government to list all of their achievements, everything else that they list as achievement are all lies because they do not exist. We've had recently the investment on the Air Liberia. We still waiting. Besides the cake, we have not seen anything. The Liberian government, instead of coming, the United Party led government left civil servants pay at a certain level. This government came and said they were harmonizing salaries in order to make sure that everybody be able to get paid. Right now, government officials or civil servants have been harmonized so bad that we just had information ministry, transport ministry, and other ministries where the employees have started to protest because they're saying they're making as low as 40 United States dollars. And you tell me that Liberia does not need to be rescued? We need to be rescued. You had the United Party-led government leaving huge sum of money on making contracts for road constructions, beginning right with the RIA corridor. That money, instead of going to a firm that will be able to do the work, we saw the government giving the money to Michael's son, his play's son. And they mismanaged that money, and now we have a death trap coordinated RIA rule.
Okay, you're listening to the Hard Talk. Let's go straight to District 13. What do you bring to District number 13 as an aspirant? What extra will you offer?
We have been involved with District 13 since I first contested in 2018. I didn't win the election, obviously. We were 11 in the race. I came third. And since 2018, I have remained engaged with District 13. I normally say to people that I'm a career politician. I, despite having a law degree or almost having a law degree and other experiences, I feel my calling is more in the public sector. Most of my engagement or former work experiences have always been in the public sector. For the last 6-7 years, I have been in the public sector and then transitioned to politics. And being there has given me a lot of experiences and expertise in being able to find solutions to problems that we face on a day-to-day basis. And that's the kind of approach that I would like to take to District 13 and that I have been applying. Since I contested 2018 in District 13 and have remained in the district, there are a lot of interventions that we have made there. Currently, since 2018 up to now, we've been making intervention on human capacity. I believe that Liberia has a very huge human capacity gap where, because of our culture and everything else, everyone believes that for you to be considered a well-off Liberian, you should go to school, you should get a degree, and be able to sit in the office. But you have a lot of people that fall short of that because of their genetic makeup or whatever the case is, who might not be able to go through the formal educational channel to be able to make life for themselves. Right. But there is a huge opportunity in the vocational and skill training avenue that you can use to still empower Liberians. So that is one of my major focus in the district. I've been able to invest in a lot of vocational training for young people, for women in District 13. At the moment, our most recent intervention has seen up to 350 residents of District 13 benefiting from vocational training in 7 different courses. Okay. We also have a computer-based training, and I'm interested in small, medium enterprises and investments. As I said, the Liberian economy and the way it's made up, not everyone might be able to work in the public sector or get a government job, or even the private sector might not be able to employ the number of Liberians that we have. We do not have a lot of those corporations or private sector entities. But if you have Liberians to become their own bosses and invest in vocational training where somebody who does tie and tie, for example, can open her little shop and be producing lapas and t-shirts and getting all of those contracts. It takes away additional burdens from the government because that person becomes an employer and can employ 2 or 3 other persons.
Right.
Somebody else that does one of the vocational training stuff they do is the biodigestive construction. That's new for Liberia.
Yes, of course.
And most of the young boys in the program, that's where they invest in. I think I have about 3 or 4 women, young women that are also in that program. By the time it is done, those people will have skills that can last them for the next 10, 15, 20 years that you cannot take from them. So that's what I'm interested in. You also do computer training, where if you look across Liberia, one thing that has become very popular is social media, people wanting to go on the internet and typing their notes, their letters. And there are a lot of things you can do with the computer is advanced in that particular area. So those that have been trained, we have about 100 persons currently in the computer training school. Those people leave and they are prepared for the job market if they decide to go into the formal sector.
Yes.
And if they decide to be business owners, they're able to start their own small businesses and empower other people. District 13 also has a huge challenge with drugs. That is not anything hidden from the public.
Drugs is all over.
But more besides being all over, we have had 2 major drug busts right in District 13. The 100 million cocaine bust happened in District 13. The second one after that happened in District 13.
What do you think so?
And that is because District 13 has become a hub for drug for whatever reason. If you go across District 13, we have 38 communities, unofficial 32 official, 38 unofficial communities.
Okay.
Almost every community you go in has a drug barracks there. If they're not doing the actual drugs with the marijuana and the kush and all of those other things, they're doing the milk candy and the sour milk and the eggnog and all of those things. The bunny, the kaya and all those things. So the district is really, really infested with drugs everywhere. And I normally say to the women when I go to talk to them, because most of the time the burden is on the women, the mothers.
Yes.
Because we take the larger burden. If your child becomes what we call so-called or disadvantaged youth, the shame comes to the mother before you read the bar. Because the first thing they'll say, oh, let your child there, or your son not spoiled, or your daughter not spoiled. So this is something that I am passionate about. I run a drug awareness and resistance education movement in the district, and we have several approaches.
And how are the
first
young
approach
people responding to that?
The first, obviously, there will be some resistance from the beginning, but here is our approach. So we try to build friendships with them first, because when you build friendship with them, then you can be able to talk them out of doing drugs.
It means you go to the ghettos.
I visit the ghettos, doing on holidays. I cook food, I take it to them. I get clothes, I take it to them. I have about 15 disadvantaged youth that are part of my skills training, 10 of them in the computer school, 5 of them in the skills training. For the second round of my skills training, I intend to have about 500 persons from the district, so I will increase the number of disadvantaged youth. A lot of them, in it, they will go for 1 week, 2 weeks, they drop, you got to be running behind them. But this is in an attempt to show them an alternative, that whatever you are doing, there is an alternative to it. A lot of the young people that are into the drugs habit, they're into entertainment, they rap, they sing. It will shock you to see the kind of talents that they have.
I have listened to some former drugs. I don't know whether they are former drugs you saw or they are still drugs you saw. I listened to one of their songs. I even had a song in my phone.
Yeah. So young people get, for most of them, they start it when they say, oh, we want to get inspiration for our song. So then you start the marijuana for inspiration. Before you know, now you start doing the kush, then you start doing the seeding, then you start doing the light bulb, and before you look, they start to advance in it. So we build friendship, we support these programs. There was one program that they had in the district, and that's why we recruited our first batch of disadvantaged youth to benefit from our skills training. What they did, inter-cap rap competition.
Yeah.
And the winners from there, there were 7, and the 7 of them were able to award them with skills training program. We're still engaging with them. I feel that that's something that we need to do. Once they get used to you, then they will agree to go to rehabilitation. Anything other than that, you just go grab, you get DEA, you grab all the boys and carry them. By the time you're carrying them, they're thinking about how to get out. But if the person is willing to go through rehabilitation, then you have, even if it's 1 or 2 persons, you are gradually making an impact. And then we've made other intervention in District 13.
Yes.
But those are the two major things that I'm
you do.
very passionate about.
Yes,
Working with the
building,
women and the youth and others in capacity building and the issue of drugs, because it's very, very heavy in District 13.
Who do you see as your major contender in that election?
The incumbent lawmaker, as far as I know, he's my target. I intend to unseat him in October. So that's my major, that's me keeping my eye on the target. Definitely, I've put in a lot of work. As I said, since 2018, I've not done anything else. I've not even worked since 2018. Okay. I attempted 1 or 2 occasions applying for a job. I got at the point of the offer, and they're like, okay, if you take our job, you can't be fully involved in politics. And I was like, sorry, I can't do that.
So how do you support your political activities?
So I do businesses. I used to do food. I stopped recently because we have a lot of political things going on. But I have a huge network of friends and supporters who help me fundraise to do everything. Okay. So I have a team of Liberians based in the US who from time to time do fundraiser. I was just in the US a couple of months ago, and they were able to do a huge fundraiser and raise up to $9,000 for me to bring back home and invest in all these different things. We have another one in July where young women that I worked with in the past, also putting themselves together into a women's movement in support of my representative bid. They will also raise funds and they will put it in specific. And then I've had just individuals who believe in this dream that have invested in it. So I have been very lucky, or I should say blessed,
yes,
with friends and families and just sometimes random people on Facebook. That kind of impact. If you send me your mobile money, no more, I won't give you something for your skills training. Wow. And that's how we've been able to raise funds. I think the tradition of supporting candidates is increasing in Liberia. I want to believe that started around the Darius Dillon time where people invested their own money. But now you have more people interested in sponsoring candidates.
Why you didn't say it started from the Josh Weah time when people were printing their own t-shirts?
Well, so printing your own t-shirt is one thing, right? I'm talking about you actually taking cash and carrying it to the candidate and say, let my own money here for
0777-105-100, 0777-105-100, 055-100, are the numbers you can call to form part of the conversation here on the Hard Talk. Her name is Madam Colinia Kratokpa. She's a member of the Unity Party and aspirant of District 13. You listen to her a lot. She talk more. In fact, she said the CDC government has succeeded in dividing the country. Well, former Vice President Joseph Newman Boaka is rescue 1. Senator Jeremiah Cohn is rescue 2. They're coming to move Liberia from where the CDC government has brought it. According to her, during their administration, Unity Party, they help in moving Liberia to a place where everyone could respect this country, could talk to us, could come to Liberia and be free, enjoy themselves, live a better life. But now, under the George Weah government, the country has gone backward. Let's hear from you. She says she engaged into a series of things in District 13, but I know there are people in District 13 that are listening. Some of you can call and tell us whether she's saying the truth or she's talking politics. Hello? Oh, wow, sorry. Hello.
Good evening, JIFFAN.
Good evening, how are you?
This is Ambassador.
Go ahead, Ambassador.
Okay, I'm listening to my sister very well, and she articulated very well. However, I'm not commensurate for our articulations. I want to work along with her and see how best the district can move forward. Okay. So my question to her, what would be first priority once you enter in the House of Parliament there? What would be a first priority so that I don't send it?
All right, she's taking notes and she'll respond to you. Hello?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good evening. What's your name?
My name is Boando, the co-chair of the National Committee.
Go ahead.
And I was part of Cornell campaign 2018. Already we campaigned for Cornelia, and she came there. And this time around, on her point of view, I think she tried, right? The only campaign wise she didn't show well because we look at the issue of her network. I think it's expanding. Why I'm not part of the team because I'm a co-chair member of the network expanding. So for everything, you find like Chocolate City, New Jordan, but I would like to advance on this open means But the issue of New Jersey, because when you look at the 2018 election, we battled John Weah in the entire Jersey estate and that of Chocolate City. So for that reason, we battled John Weah second to collaborate on a very low margin, right? I think less than 100 without mistaken. So for that, I will advise her to focus on New Jersey estate because we don't have no potential New Jersey estate. So since the content of New Jersey estate of an Nigerian shop, when you hope there, you can focus on the estate and that of Chocolate City and get both over there. Therefore, I've got a government plan is from IFRJ, all of it down to Jimugaro. So if you focus on the side, you get a good amount of vote. And lastly, on the issue of how to do it for me, right? I also appeal to her. The young people want to feel a person more, right? You know, they support you up, but they want to feel a few persons all coming around there. I think it's important that you do that. And very urgent too.
Thank you. Hello. Good evening.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, hello. Good evening.
Go ahead. What's your name? Where you call from?
Michael, good evening, your name.
Go ahead, Michael.
And I joined from my district resident.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of listen to your guest. He spoke well. I want her to please hear some of her engagement around the chocolate city, around the blue container there.
Okay.
Thank you. Chocolate city, blue container.
Around the blue container, a specific place you want to go there?
Yeah, to go there and engage number of people there as it relates to a platform.
What exactly you want to go do there? Go empower the people?
It's an intellectual center.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, to go there and engage the people there.
All right. She listening to you. 077-105-100, 055-105-100 are the numbers you can call to form part of the conversation. Okay, call us on the numbers you listen to, 555-105-100, and ask whatever question you want to ask. Make your point. Be civil. You can disagree. You can be critical as much as you want, but be respectful and be responsible. Let's go to this person here on line 2. Wow. Hello.
How you doing, brother?
I'm okay. What's your name?
This is Volcano. I'm calling you from Federal Communities.
Go ahead.
Yeah, anyway, I'm very sorry because I'm not in your district. Was very well. I wanted to support of the Unity Party. You know, sometimes when I heard the people saying, Unity Party like government doing nothing, did nothing in the country here. You know, sometimes I really look at like government to be someone who really can think before talking. Because for me, I can remember when I returned in the Europe from Guinea, because we were I went to Guinea, I was in refugee camp. When I returned in the Europe in 2006, I entered red light. I saw how that play was. I even went as far as after dating. I saw all those areas, how that play was. I rose on, I have to come with me from Guinea straight. Refugee convoy take me from Guinea to Monrovia here. Truck or in truck. That road was very, very deplorable condition from Banga to Monrovia. Can you see today the Banga route from here all to Granta? That was done by Unity Party government. From Habe to Bikana, Unity Party government. All the road at the moment for pushing on in some second bed, Unity Party government. Then even the capital day is there. I'm sure it's a complex. They are pushing out, they are sitting inside pushing Unity Party government. Then why will you be expecting Unity Party government to do our kind or whether you want it?
Okay.
Besides, the government was taking people on time. They said, the mother said,
but people protest too when that time.
Yeah, my mother coming. When Papa come in, everybody will see Papa not come. And everybody was taking salary at the time. So you were expecting there's someone who was not in the government, who was not working nowhere. They were saying the government gave them money.
All right, my man. Thank you. But don't forget that people are protesting too at the same time, my man. They're protesting like brother every time. Hello.
Hello.
What's your name? Where you joining us from, Chief?
This is Lawrence Johnson. I call you from St. Clair this afternoon.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you see, when they say you get drafted, you had a girlfriend, and that girlfriend had drafted the Unity Partisan you should leave for.
For what?
So why are you counting all those things? And CDC government is also doing much more than you did. Then you are here condemning this government.
So she said you need to tell us, and name the things that the CDC people feeling doing. She just listed the things they did. in the
I
past.
need her to leave them. She knows what happened on Lofa Road.
Okay. All
She
right.
knows what is happening in Nima County, the roads that are going there.
Thank
the
you.
Southeast, those roads that have been built, she knows what is going on there currently. The airport, the road leading to the airport, she knows that I need her to come them to her.
She condemned that road. Anyway, thank you.
Okay.
Myself wanted to ask her, say they will say on
So should we also condemn the rules that Eddie or Joseph Bakane built? Should we condemn them?
All right. Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good evening, sir. What's your name?
Thank you very much. My name is Noah Zawokesi.
Go ahead, Mr.
And I'm on the weather. So for the full quality of my voice, I want to say sorry.
Go ahead.
Let me use this opportunity to say hands up to the astute parties in the studio. Look, I think in my mind, the most insincere people on the planet are physicians.
The other man say,
yes.
When they tell you say you don't get shame failure, you know the party say or run.
Yeah. So for me, in our case, I said the most insincere people on planet Earth are physicians.
Okay.
And let me justify their level of insincerity or what makes them insincere.
You have to do that.
The guy had the audacity to just ingeniously point that Lofa Road as a success to the CDC. You know the historicity of that road, the road where you're not even doing good that you're doing because of political dividend that you want from the people of Lofa. When you post started that road, the road was even in progress. You met the road. Then President Sali, outgoing President Sali then, and incoming President Weah, and incoming Vice President Joao Otino, were they not invited by outgoing President Sali to the groundbreaking ceremony of that road on December 24, 2017? And you were even the road. The UP government through Amara Kone, they went to the Arab Development Bank and the Solid Development Fund. They lobbied for the funding for that road and secure it from phase 1, from Banga to Salaye and from Salaye to Konya. When you came, all you needed to have done, pay for the houses that the people were to demolish for the contract to start. You abandoned that road. You left it entirely. Just recently, you put in that kind of what we call 4G quota there to blaspheme the people of Lofa, thinking that they are blind like you, then you want to actually be that success to CDC government.
Thank you,
Why
Noah.
do you do that? Yeah, let me conclude on this note. The Lima road he talks about, all the roads that have been built in Lima are successes of the UP government. We secure those funding from the KWF then the German bank. That's how all the day they just met the food and they dishing it up. The food was cooked. You just dishing it up. You know what it means to cook? When you cook, you put the recipe together. It's very difficult. To put recipe together is different than it's difficult than to distribute. What do you want to talk here?
Thank you, Noah. I think we'll go back to our guest for her response, and maybe we'll take a few minutes to close up. You listen to all of the callers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll first like to
Sorry, off mark. Why? Yes.
On.
Okay.
I'll first like to thank Partisan Noah Gibson. You know, Noah pretty much summed up everything else that we have said in our response to the last caller. It's one thing to be untrue to yourself, but it's another thing to be very insincere to an entire country. People that were here during United Party time, we have all not died. We are all still living. 12 years ago, only a few persons that died. We still plenty here that living. And for you to sit and say that Lofa Road, the Nima Road, the RIA Road, and all those roads to be criminal, it's a disservice to yourself before even the people of Liberia. Because everybody sat here and witnessed it. The Lofa Road issue was a very controversial road with the United Party and CDC. That was the road that Madam Sharif carried to us. We had to break ground for, and it brought serious noise on all the radio stations. So how will you now sit and say that that CDC did that road? When you met people even interpreted it as that was the road that made George Weah president to be able to get votes from Lofa. And then you said now, you said I'm saying people say. But then you sit now and say that road that you the one brought that road. Every road that the CDC government is talking about were roads that fundings were sought after by the United Party. The only roads that George Weah government did by itself, and they even do it by themselves because there was already, I used to work at the Ministry of Public Works. I was executive assistant to the Minister of Public Works when Jude Moore was minister at the time. Okay. The only other road that the CDC government will talk about is not even that was the feeder roads. You see those roads that George Weah put around in horse where he got almost 10 roads leading to that one rehab. Those were supposed to be the RIA feeder road projects. All of the money he took, to face all those roads coming right to his house, should have faced all the feeder roads when coming from ERW junction, going straight RIA. Every community junction you see branching in, they should have put a road there. That was what the money was allotted for. They reallocated that money to put in almost 10 quota road going right to George Weah house. You will pass shooting off it, you go to his house. You pass through rehab, you got almost 4-5 roads from rehab going right to the scene. President Weah's house. Then he finished, he said he made Weah to Little Miami because the few roads he put right around. Those road projects, if they had gone to the RIA road in the communities that they were meant for, Liberians would be better off. Our New Jersey Junction Road, for example, the entire New Jersey Estate Road, when I was contesting, even after I contested, I have been able to create that road more than twice. Carry yellow machine on the road as a private citizen to create that road. Before recently, Public Works, they knew that it's possible for you to carry yellow machine to Greater New Jersey Road or Chocolate City Road. I was the first person to carry Greater on Chocolate City Road. The people of Chocolate City came out, all people came and said since they've been living in Chocolate City more than 20 years, it was the first time for them to see yellow machine on the road. Those were things that government was supposed to do. Now the CDC government can be rushing and saying they're going Greater that road because they're thinking that are going there again.
And the United Party government saw it went away.
The United Party government had a priority. The priority was to do your single road, was to do your Pequena road, was to do your road to Nima, was to do roads that were leading to the southeast, was to do the Lofa road, was to do Nima and other corridors, was to get money, secure it, and keep it for all these small roads. And instead of the CDC government taking the feeder road money that was left there to fix those small roads, they decided instead of doing New Jersey Road or Chocolate City Road, they took the money and went and did 10 roads leading to George Weah House. How selfish can you be? All the LEC lepo, you put your knee inside. We are project. You put a blue circle with the letter on there, your knee go there with circle. Everything should be about you. The referendum, the national referendum, that was a national event. You had George Weah. Yeah, big picture on the national referendum. What your picture doing there? You build road
because of that.
You build road to
because of that.
All the money you take on all those small things, use it to benefit the
because of that, when you were in the CPP, you people campaigned against the referendum.
We did not campaign against the referendum. We said that the referendum, we said and we maintain that the preparation for the referendum was very, very little. All those in the counties, besides Monserrato, or in the villages, the people never knew what they call referendum. You created no awareness. You didn't go to train the people. You didn't go to interpret it to the
in the opposition. You in the opposition too could have helped
we do not have state resources. We do not have state resources
but
for
you
that.
took some time to campaign against it.
We campaigned against the government conducting an ill-prepared referendum.
So the effort and time you took to campaign, you would have used that time.
It took us the effort we took to go over the radio and say CDC don't have this referendum. Get civic awareness folks to go in the community. You think the money we spend to sit down over here to tell that thing that where we go to go sit down with people in community and teach them how to vote or what the referendum means.
You didn't sit on 1, 2, 3 radios.
Even if you sit down on 20 radios, the money you use to sit on radio cannot be compared to people going in communities and teaching people what the referendum is, what the referendum means. It requires a lot of money and investment and time, and that was our position, and we still maintain that position.
The opposition have
we
sales.
Still maintain that position.
The opposition has sales in all of the counties.
The money that CDC took to do banners with George Weah picture and circulate it all around, they should have taken that money to have the governance commission or other people to go to the communities and teach people what the referendum is. We were not against the hosting of the referendum. We were against the very ill-prepared way that the referendum happened. Therefore, even if the United Party government comes back to play, we will make sure that our referendum is something by law that should happen. But the Liberian people should be aware what they are going to go for. Because people don't even know how to vote for the referendum, but you are rushing to have referendum because you wanted to mark it as a. But if you give me time, we'll keep talking to. Because the ills of this government is so much. I was supposed to respond to what the caller said, and now we have taken away from that.
So use 2 minutes to respond to the callers.
So in general, somebody asked what would be my priority when I get elected as representative of District 13. District 13 since 2018 to now, and even maybe beyond, the representatives at the time, they turn the function of a representative, and that's not something just unique to District 13. Turn the function of a representative to a project manager position. A certain representative should not be a project manager. I even believe that, like we used to do in the past for the United Party-led government, if there is money for district development, it should go through the institutions responsible, and they should be able to implement the project. You as a lawmaker can advocate for the project to be done in your district, but for you to go and be signing for the 30,000 so your second go be implementing projects, it's not the right way to do it. I think we need systems. I intend in my first few days or the first few months as representative for District 13 to put in systems that will work. We should have a district council that meets regularly to proffer suggestions on how to run the district. We should be able to develop a district work plan. If we say it's a 3-year work plan or 5-year work plan, that way everything that we're doing is in line with that work plan, and you can track the progress and development of the district. I intend to create a district that can be an example to all other districts around Liberia, where people will see how a district should be run. I believe you run your district like you're running a country. Everything that happens at the national level should be there. There should be a health policy. There should be an academic policy. There should be an infrastructure policy. There should be a social welfare policy. Everything that will affect your people should be organized and systematic so that you get the gains of what you are putting resources into. And that's the kind of leadership we want to bring to District 13. Transformational, very intentional, and results-oriented.
And just close on that.
That's the closing.
Okay.
I'm part of the rescue mission of Joseph Nima Boakai. Joseph Boakai is Rescue 1. Jeremiah Kwan is Rescue 2, and I am Cornelia Kratopa, Rescue 13, Monserrato County.
Okay, her name is Cornelia Kratopa. She says she's the Rescue 13, Monserrato County. This is the Hard Talk. This song is a song by some young people who were involved into drug activities.
Save the ghetto youth then. LBS Records Foundation. Ghetto All Stars. Say no to drugs. Yes. Say no to drugs. Say no. Say no to drugs. Say no. Say no to addiction. Say no. Lead your destruction. For the future of your life, don't you ever smoke a drug? Say no. Say no. Say no to drugs. Let us keep money on working. Don't you ever lose hope on yourself. Just put your fingers across. One day we'll cross the line.
And so it has been a wonderful conversation on the program today. My name is Anthony JIFFAN. Of course, our guest on the program today, she has been Madam Cornelia Kratopa. She is a vice chair for inter-party relation and NEC affairs at the Unity Party and aspirant of District 13, Monserrato County. Well, her father was dismissed because he attended a political rally, of course. Well, every minister serves at the way and pleasure of the president. And so if the president feels that you're not going his direction, he has to put you down. Well, she personally, according to her, doesn't have a problem with it because she is knowledgeable when it comes to leadership, politics, and the law. She's aware of too many things. And so maybe she expected that. Though she didn't say that she expected it, but apparently she expected that, folks. Join us another time on this show. We'll be here Friday, THEO Williams and I. But Joe Wonder will be here tomorrow for another brand new edition of the program. Until then, Let's close up on this song. It says, say no to drugs. Of course, it damages you, it kills. And the rest of it, you know what Kush is doing today. My name is Anthony JIFFAN. Next on this radio will be another program called Traffic Talk.
Say no to justice. Say no to justice.